They screamed, "Daddy, no," as the officer's knee pinned him to the ground. A father, just trying to get his kids home from school, now face down on the pavement, cuffs cutting into his wrists. Why, a routine stop, gone horribly wrong. What could he have done to deserve this? And what secret did the officer hide that would unravel everything? This isn't just a story of injustice. It's a gut punch of betrayal, rage, and a twist that'll leave you speechless. Stick with me, because you won't believe how this ends. He was just another dad, Marcus, 34, walking his two kids, Aaliyah and Jamal, home from school in a quiet Ohio suburb. It was a Tuesday afternoon, the kind where the sun's low, kids are laughing, and nothing feels out of place. Marcus, a mechanic with a steady job, was known for his easy smile and knack for fixing neighbors' cars on weekends. Aaliyah, 10, clutched her math homework, chattering about fractions. Jamal, 7, kicked a pebble, pretending it was a soccer ball. Just another day, until it wasn't. They turned onto Maple Street, their block, when a police cruiser rolled up. No siren, no warning, just the slow creep of tires on asphalt. Officer Daniel Holt stepped out, badge glinting, eyes hidden behind sunglasses. "You stop right there." He barked at Marcus. The kids froze. Aaliyah's homework slipped from her hand, fluttering to the ground. Marcus raised his palms, voice calm but firm. "Officer, what's this about? We're just heading home." Holt didn't answer. He asked for ID, his tone clipped, like Marcus was already guilty of something. Marcus reached for his wallet, slowly, deliberately, but Holt's hand shot to his holster. "Don't move," he shouted. Neighbors peeked through curtains. Aaliyah whimpered, "Daddy." Jamal clung to her arm. Marcus kept his voice steady. "It's okay, kids. Just stay calm." But his heart was pounding. He'd heard the stories, seen the videos. Every black man in America knows the drill. One wrong move and things spiral. Holt claimed Marcus matched a description. No details, no explanation, just a vague excuse that felt like a script. Marcus handed over his ID, but Holt barely glanced at it. Instead, he ordered Marcus to turn around, hands behind his back. "For what?" Marcus asked, voice rising just a fraction. That was enough. Holt grabbed Marcus's arm, twisting it hard. Aaliyah screamed. Jamal started crying, and before Marcus could say another word, Holt slammed him to the pavement, knee on his back, cuffs snapping shut. The kids' screams echoed down the street as neighbors watched, silent. Why was Holt so quick to escalate? What was he hiding? And why did this routine stop? Feel so personal. Let's dig into the moment everything changed. The pavement was cold against Marcus's cheek, gravel biting into his skin. Aaliyah's screams cut through the air like a knife. "Daddy, get up, please." Jamal was sobbing so hard he could barely breathe. Marcus tried to speak, to calm them, but Holt's knee pressed harder, stealing his air. "Stay down." Holt growled, his voice low, almost smug. Neighbors gathered now, some filming on their phones, others whispering. No one stepped in. Marcus's mind raced. Why was this happening? He hadn't jaywalked, hadn't raised his voice, hadn't done anything but walk his kids home. Holt radioed for backup, claiming Marcus was resisting. Resisting what? He was already cuffed, face down, not moving. A second cruiser pulled up, and another officer, Jenkins, stepped out. Jenkins looked uneasy, glancing at the kids, then at Holt. "What's the situation?" he asked. Holt muttered something about a suspect description and non-compliance. Jenkins frowned but didn't push. Marcus caught the look. Jenkins knew something was off, but he wasn't calling it out. Aaliyah, tears streaming, shouted, "He didn't do anything." Holt snapped at her to quiet down, and Marcus's blood boiled. "Don't talk to my daughter like that," he said, voice muffled against the pavement. Holt leaned closer, hissing, "You don't get to talk." That's when Marcus noticed it. A flicker in Holt's eyes, not just anger, but something deeper. Fear, guilt. This wasn't random. Holt knew Marcus, but how? Flashback to 3 months earlier. Marcus had been at a community meeting, speaking out against police overreach in their neighborhood. He'd called out a specific officer, unnamed but described, who'd been shaking down local businesses, demanding protection of money. Marcus didn't have proof, just stories from shop owners too scared to report it. The room had been tense, packed with residents fed up but afraid. Marcus's speech went viral locally, shared across community boards. He didn't name Holt, but maybe he didn't need to. Holt was there, in the back, silent, watching. Back on Maple Street, the situation spiraled. Holt yanked Marcus to his feet, shoving him toward the cruiser. Aaliyah ran forward, grabbing at her dad's sleeve. "Let him go," she cried. Jenkins stepped in, gently pulling her back, but Holt was unrelenting. He pushed Marcus into the car, slamming the door. The kids were left on the sidewalk, sobbing as a neighbor, Mrs. Carter, finally rushed over to hold them. "This ain't right," she muttered, loud enough for Jenkins to hear. Jenkins looked away. At the station, Marcus sat in a holding cell, still cuffed. No charges read, hours passed. No lawyer, no phone call. Just silence, broken by Holt's voice outside the cell, talking to another officer. "He's trouble," Holt said, been stirring things up. Marcus's stomach dropped. This wasn't about a description. This was personal. Holt was settling a score. But what was the real reason behind his vendetta? And how far would he go to keep it buried? The kids, meanwhile, were with Mrs. Carter, who'd called Marcus's sister, Tanya. Tanya was furious, already contacting a lawyer and rallying neighbors. Videos of the arrest were spreading online, hashtags popping up. #justice for Marcus. The community was waking up, but would it be enough? And what was Holt hiding that made him so desperate to silence Marcus? Tanya worked fast. By evening, she'd organized a small protest outside the station, demanding Marcus's release. The videos from Maple Street were blowing up online, racking up thousands of views. Commenters were outraged. "This is why we don't trust cops. Those kids' screams broke my heart." But Holt wasn't backing down. He doubled down, filing a report claiming Marcus had assaulted an officer. The lie was bold, blatant, but Holt seemed untouchable. Why? Digging deeper, Tanya learned something chilling. Holt had a history. 2 years ago, he'd been investigated for excessive force in a nearby city, but was cleared after missing body cam footage. Rumor was he'd been transferred to this precinct to start fresh. But whispers from local business owners painted a darker picture. Holt had been shaking them down, demanding cash to avoid trouble. Marcus's speech at the community meeting had hit too close to home. Holt wasn't just angry. He was scared Marcus was onto him. Back at the station, Marcus pieced it together. Holt's aggression, the vague suspect excuse, the way he'd avoided Jenkins's questions. It all pointed to one thing: Holt was dirty. Marcus remembered a specific shop owner, Mr. Patel, who'd hinted at paying off a cop to avoid random inspections. Patel had been too scared to name names, but Marcus now realized it was Holt. The arrest wasn't random. It was a warning to shut up. Meanwhile, the protest grew. News vans arrived. Tanya handed out flyers, Aaliyah and Jamal holding signs, "Free our dad." The pressure was mounting, but so was Holt's desperation. He leaned on Jenkins, pressuring him to back his story. Jenkins, younger and less seasoned, hesitated. "This doesn't add up, Dan," he said quietly. Holt's face darkened. "You want to keep your job. Stick to the report." Then came the twist. One of the neighbors' videos caught something no one noticed at first. Holt's body cam wasn't on. Protocol required it, but the little red light was off. Jenkins knew it too. He'd seen it on the scene. He hadn't said anything then, but now, with the protest growing and the videos spreading, he was sweating. If he came clean, he'd tank his career. If he didn't, he'd be complicit. Jenkins was at a crossroads, and Marcus's fate hung in the balance. Online, the story exploded. A local journalist, Sarah, dug into Holt's past, uncovering the old excessive force case and connecting it to the shop owner rumors. She reached out to Mr. Patel, who finally agreed to talk off the record for now. Sarah's article dropped that night, titled, "Is This Cop Hiding a Dirty Secret?" The internet went wild. Pressure on the precinct was unbearable now. Holt's carefully built wall was crumbling, but Holt wasn't done. He tried one last move, planting evidence. He slipped a small bag of drugs into Marcus's jacket, claiming it was found during the arrest. The lie was flimsy. Nobody believed Marcus, a devoted dad with no record, was dealing, but it was enough to keep him locked up a little longer. Tanya, Sarah, and the community weren't buying it. They had one shot to expose Holt before he buried Marcus for good. What they found next would change everything. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Jenkins. Guilt gnawed at him. He'd seen Holt turn off his body cam, heard the lies about Marcus resisting. Late that night, Jenkins slipped Sarah an anonymous tip. Holt's old case file from the other city. It wasn't just excessive force. Holt had been linked to a protection racket there too. The case was dropped for lack of evidence, but one detail stood out: a witness who'd vanished. Sarah connected the dots. Holt wasn't just dirty, he was dangerous. The next morning, Tanya and Sarah confronted the precinct with the file and Mr. Patel's testimony. Patel, emboldened by the community's support, finally went on record. Holt's scheme unraveled. The drug plant was exposed as a setup. Jenkins confessed to seeing Holt tamper with the jacket. By noon, Marcus was released, running into Aaliyah and Jamal's arms outside the station. The crowd cheered, tears flowing. Holt was suspended, his badge stripped pending investigation. Justice wasn't fully served yet, but it was close. The twist: Jenkins wasn't just a bystander. He'd been Holt's partner in the old city, forced to stay quiet to save his own skin. His tip to Sarah was his redemption, a risk that could have cost him everything. Marcus, Tanya, and the kids didn't know it, but Jenkins's choice saved their family. This story isn't just about one dad's fight. It's about a community that refused to stay silent. What would you have done if you were Jenkins? Would you risk it all for the truth? Comment below and let me know. And if this story hit you hard, hit that like button and share it. Because stories like this need to be heard.